Hey, it's me. Yeah, I got off work, but I've got to work late tonight. That project that I've been working on, I'm almost done, and I need to stay at work late tonight and get it done. So I'll come home and see you guys for just a little bit, and then I'm gonna get some supper and I'm gonna head out. So, okay? All right, I'll see you soon. Love you. Bye. Have you ever asked yourself, why do you do the things that you do? Why do you get up every morning and go work your job and get a paycheck and continue to just do this same routine, whatever it is that you do in your life, day after day after day? For me, I can answer that question by saying that the reason that I go to work every day is number one, for my family. It's the way I support my family, it's the way I put food on the table, it's the way I keep a roof over our heads and pay all of our bills. But, you know, I've learned recently that that's not always enough. And the last 5 years have been really hard on me. It's been really, probably the most challenging 5 years of my life, and the most challenging 5 years of my marriage. And in that time, my family has grown a lot. We've had 3 wonderful children be born. We have a 5-year-old son, a 3-year-old son, and a 1-year-old baby girl. And that's probably some of the best things that have happened in my 5 years, my recent 5 years. But during that same time, I began to get out of balance. I found myself working more and more, taking on more and more projects, taking on more and more responsibilities. And the way I like to describe it is, as Bilbo Baggins said in the Fellowship of the Ring, part of the Lord of the Rings movies, he told Gandalf, he said, I feel like I feel like I've butter that's been spread over too much bread. You know, don't quote me on that exactly, but that's the way I feel. I feel like I can do a lot of things. I'm capable of doing a lot of things, but I've actually taken on more than I can physically and mentally handle over the last 5 years, especially with a growing family. And it wasn't until, well, and let me go back just a little bit. My wife has been trying to tell me the last 5 years that she feels like she's raising these kids all by herself because I'm never home. I'm always working. Even 7 days a week, I'm working. Whether for my normal job or for my business, I'm constantly working and trying to make money to make ends meet for us. And my wife stays at home, so I try to bring in as much income as possible, but still that's never enough. 5 years ago, there was especially a 3-month period where every single day for that 3 months I was working quite often 20 hours a day. The least amount of hours that I would work in those days was 12 hours. And I thought that I would come home to a hero's welcome. I thought my wife would be saying, you're doing so great, you're doing such a good job, you're doing a great job of not only keeping your job, but also bringing home an income that's going to help us and sustain us. But instead, I got quite the opposite. Not only would I work anywhere from 12 to 20 hours a day, I would come home and I would be in trouble for doing that. And I didn't receive that hero's welcome that I thought I was going to receive. Instead, I found myself often having to defend myself for working, and I just did not understand it. In my perspective, I was working hard, I was doing a great job for the family, but in my wife's perspective, I was never there, and I was just absent from the family. And it's more important to my wife and to my kids that I'm there spending time with them than making money for them. And it wasn't until last year I started reading the book by Chris Kyle, American Sniper, and I can't even tell you to this day what it was, but something about that book allowed me to, and reading his story allowed my eyes to be opened to where I could finally see the big picture. That what's important is my family. As important as I think that it is that I do a good job at my job and that I do good things for the people that I serve in my job, whether it's clientele or coworkers, the most important thing in my life, almost the most important thing, is my family. And so I've had to learn a lot. And so anyways, long story short, I've become very out of balance. And so I've done a lot of praying, a lot of thinking, and I've come up with 6 things in my life that I want to make the priorities in my life. And I want to share those with you right now. And the first thing is faith. I can remember back to when I was in college, the best time of my life as far as my faith goes was when I was reading my Bible 3 chapters a day. And I was working an incredibly busy schedule, but I still had the priority of reading 3 chapters a day in my Bible. And probably that was the strongest spiritual time in my life. Now, I'm not saying that you or I need to read 3 chapters out of the Bible every single day, but I just miss having that time. And I've been so busy the last 5 years that I haven't had the adequate time that I need. Second is family. Now let me go back. You may ask, why don't I put family first? Well, I think in order for me to be the best husband and father that I can be, I think that I have to put my faith first so that I can be the kind of husband and father that I need to be. If I can work on my relationship with Christ, then hopefully I'm going to be a great man of God, and that's going to reflect in the kind of husband that I'm going to be and the type of father that I'm going to be. And so I want to spend that time with Christ daily, and I want to continue to work on myself. I've noticed a lot of things in myself that have changed over the last few years, especially the last year. A year ago, I began having a lot of tightness in my chest from working too much. And I learned that I was having problems with anxiety, and it was even getting to where I was having depression, and at times even thoughts of suicide. I did not entertain those thoughts, but the level of depression that I was getting to would lead me to that, and I could logically get myself out of those thoughts. I could think about my kids and how much that would destroy their lives, and then the nerd in me would come out, and I'd think about all the movies that I'm not going to get to see, like Star Wars and all these great movies, and pretty soon I could get myself out of that shallow level of thinking. But I discovered, especially through last year, that I wasn't getting exercise. I wasn't giving my body the proper nutrition, and I'll get to that in a second. But the other thing was that I was not meeting my spiritual needs, and so I was spending so much time working that, number one, I wasn't spending time with the Lord, and I wasn't spending enough time with my family. And so first, my priority now for the rest of my life is going to be my faith. I'm going to take care of that. I'm going to take care of my relationship with Christ. I'm going to put that number one. Number two, I'm going to work on my relationship with my family. I'm going to be the best husband and father that I can be. And next is fitness. Some people may say you need to take care of fitness first, but I feel like fitness should fall into place number 3. I know that I can't do my job physically if I'm not staying in shape. And so fitness means that I need to take care of my body by, number one, feeding it the proper nutrition. And I'll get into that in later videos, what kind of nutrition I'm talking about. I've been doing a lot of research on that for the last several years, actually. And then exercise. One thing I've discovered recently is if I give my body the right kind of fuel And if I give my body the right kind of exercise, then stress and anxiety and depression don't exist in my life. Exercise is such a great way to handle stress and anxiety. I mean, it's better than taking anxiety medicine or stress medicine, in my opinion. I remember during that 3 months of working 20 hours a day, 7 days a week, several years ago, I had to go get a physical, and my doctor had to lay me down for about 45 minutes in a dark room so that my blood pressure would come down so I could hopefully pass the blood pressure test. I don't like to live that way. I've got to live at least 20 more years before I can retire from my job. And when I retire, I want to be healthy enough to enjoy my retirement. I want to be able to go climb mountains and do hiking and do all these great and fun things. And if my body is so worn down from working 7 days a week, minimum of 12 hours a day, I may not even live to see the remainder of those 20 years. I may never even see retirement. I want to watch my kids and my grandkids grow up. So it's time I make some changes and I become balanced. And so to recap, faith is now my number one priority. My family is my number 2 priority. My fitness is my number 3 priority. Number 4 is focused, intentional work. Why didn't I just call it work in my list of goals? Well, work doesn't start with the letter F, and the rest of my goals do. So I came up with the idea of focused, intentional work. And what I mean by that is when you go to work, when I go to work, I don't want to just show up and start there at whatever time I start and end at whatever time I stop. I want to be completely focused. Whoever it is that's paying me money, whether it's for my business or whether it's for my daily job, I want them to get their money's worth out of me. I want to be completely focused on the job. I want to work as hard as I can to not be distracted. There's going to be people that are going to, coworkers that may come and visit with you, and that may be a distraction. And my goal is to try to keep that to a minimum. I think it's important to build relationships for sure, but at the end of the day, you have to be a producer. You have to do a good job at whatever it is that you do for your work. And so when I'm there, I want to avoid getting distracted. I don't want to get distracted by reading the news or catching some article on the internet that might interest me, because you end up wasting a lot of time. And then you find yourself trying to catch up later on work that you didn't get finished. So that's all pretty obvious. But so that's my goal, is I want to learn how to be the best worker that I can be. And when I go to work, I don't want it to be just showing up for work for paycheck. I want it to be highly productive. I want to be focused, and I want to be intentional about my work. So next thing is finance. Okay, so many of us, we go to our jobs every day, we go home, we go to sleep, we wake up, we do it all over again. And sometimes it never ends. It's just a never-ending cycle. And part of that cycle is we get paid every week or every month or every 2 weeks, whatever it might be. And then so many of us, we spend every single dime that we get paid. And then we go buy ourselves a brand new car or a brand new house that's much more expensive than we can afford, especially when we're spending every single penny that we make. And so now we find ourselves a slave to our job because we're constantly having to work just to make the next payment, and we're living paycheck to paycheck. And that's not a fun way to live. And that's why on finances, I want to be the best steward of the money that God allows me to have in my life. Thankfully, I married a woman who is naturally a saver. She's naturally conservative with money. She's very wise with money, and that's just the way she was raised. For me, for the last 10 years at least, spending money has been kind of a comfort to me. You hear about some people who may go to the bar to have a few drinks and relax and de-stress, but that doesn't really solve your problems, whatever your problems may be. It just kind of helps you forget about them for a little while. For me, I don't really go to the bar to relax, but I may go buy myself something, or I may go buy a Blu-ray or a DVD or some book, maybe something that I don't even need. And for just a little instant, it makes me feel better. And maybe I might say to myself, I may try to justify it, you deserve these DVDs, or you deserve these books, or you deserve whatever it is you want to buy, or this food, because you worked really hard all week. And if you do that long enough, you end up having no money at all. And it's okay to do those things, but it needs to be part of a plan. And that's why me and my wife, as long as we've been married, we've lived on a budget. And that was not because of my practice, that was because that was the way she was raised, and she's always lived on a budget. The last 6 months, we have not been living on a budget. Life just became so busy for us that we've just been shooting from the hip with our finances. And we have not been living on a budget, and lo and behold, the amount of money in our checking account went way down because we weren't living life on a plan anymore. And so actually, 1 week from now, or less than a week from now, we're actually going to have a big budget meeting, and we're going to finally get ourselves on a new budget. And so I'm still learning a lot about finances. I know it in my head. I know a lot about finances. I know the whole Dave Ramsey plan, and I know how to live on less than you make. But it's when I get to the point of making the right decision with my finances, I don't always make the right decision. And so I'm actually right next to a pizza place right now. And I was actually going to buy a pizza and a Mountain Dew for this video, and I've already convinced myself as I've been talking to you that it's not going to be a good idea. I was going to illustrate to you what I've normally done on most nights, where I leave work and I come into town, I'll get some pizza, get a Mountain Dew, and then I'll go work until 3 o'clock in the morning sometimes, and then come home, get a few hours of sleep, and do it again. And I don't enjoy doing that. I don't think that's the way I should run my life. So I'm not even going to do that. I've already convinced myself not to buy this pizza and this Mountain Dew, and I'm actually just going to head back home. And I'm not going to work tonight. There's a lot of things that I could do tonight to get a lot of work done, but the most important thing right now is that I go home and I spend time with my family. The last thing, see, we have faith, family, fitness, focused, intentional work, finances, and the last thing is fun. We all love to have fun, and that is something that I don't know how to do anymore. I don't know how to relax and how to have fun, and how to spend free time. Number one, the last 5 years I haven't had free time, and so that's something that I really want to learn how to do, is how to have fun and how to have free time. And so I invite you to follow me along in this journey as I learn to balance my life, because I have a feeling that there's probably many of you that are out there right now who are in the same predicament as me. You work too much. You don't spend enough time with your family. You spend too much. You eat the wrong foods. You don't get enough exercise. And you find yourself unhappy and out of shape. And you're just wondering, what is there to this life? There's got to be more. And so I invite you to follow me along in my journey. I'm going to start going to bed at a good time, probably about 9 o'clock at night. And I'm going to wake up about 4 o'clock in the morning. I've actually been doing this off and on for a few weeks now, and I really enjoy it. But starting tomorrow, it is my goal to be very consistent and very faithful to my new schedule. I want to eat the right foods. I've been educating myself, me and my wife have, the last 5-6 years about living on a plant-based diet. And whenever I have been consistent with a plant-based diet, the results have been astounding. And in fact, just a few months ago, I was 233 pounds, the most I've ever weighed. Now I'm down to about 224. I actually made it down to 221 a week ago, but the last week I had to work way too much, and I went back to eating pizza and drinking Mountain Dews, whatever I could to keep me going, and working late into the night. and I put a few pounds back on. But starting tomorrow, I invite you to start coming to the gym with me. I invite you to start seeing what it is that I eat for my meals. And I hope to prove that making good changes for your life are worth it. And so I'm sorry that I've rambled on. My thoughts haven't been just real organized in this video, and I hope that you're still paying attention to the video. If you're still watching, that means a lot to me. So anyways, I just wanted to introduce myself, and I haven't even told you my name yet. My name is Tyrrell. My wife is named Kayla, and you're gonna get a chance to meet her. But I just invite you to follow along. And my life is actually at a pinnacle point right now where all the late, long hours that I need to work, I believe, are behind me. And I'm actually to a point now in my life where I can actually become balanced once again, and I can spend the time with my family and spend the time with the Lord and spend the time taking care of myself that I need to. And I really look forward to the next 20 years of enjoying my job and enjoying time with my family, and then hopefully retiring is what I've planned. And so anyways, I really look forward to spending that time with you. So I wish you the best, and God bless. Bye-bye.